to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Matt.
You know, the Harry Potter game looks pretty cool. But
it does.
You know, don't be transphobic.
Yeah, so I guess that's the moral dilemma. Like, the game looks fucking dope. Like,
don't buy it.
so
dilemma ended.
I understand what you mean. It's like it's like there's a lot of people that are really excited about it because there hasn't really been a Harry Potter game in a while, and that's a universe that people really still adore and love. I am curious to see, you know, if people would actually rally around the idea of, like, you know, fuck J.K. Rowling, we're gonna shut this down, and not buy it. A part of me doesn't seem like that. I will say the game does look really cool, and I don't know if I would buy it because I don't know. I have to see the gameplay of it. But I also recognize that J.K. Rowling is a terrible human being.
This is coming from someone who probably my first fandom was Harry Potter. And this is the type of game that I would have been clamoring over.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not worth supporting someone like this. And other books exist, other worlds exist.
Yeah,
that you'll get a similar experience from. Just don't get it.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, we gotta talk. We don't have to necessarily do so in this podcast, but PlayStation 5 looks fucking dope.
Yeah.
Like, I am so excited. I skipped a generation. I do at some point, probably not upon release, because it's gonna be very hard to get it early. But I genuinely want to get the PlayStation 5, and if you take the Harry Potter game out of it, Hogwarts Legacy, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I still love the lineup.
It looks amazing.
And so which is like, that's all I like. You're losing your minds about this, you know, it's running like a PC type thing. Like, all right, that's fine. Are the games good? All right, I'm in. That's where I'm at this point. But anyways, let's turn our focus to the gridiron, ladies and gentlemen. We are through week 1 of the NFL season. It's in the books. We have our data, and it's all fucked up. So we're gonna recap some of the games, give our thoughts on some of the things that happened in week 1. We also will be giving our picks for week 2 at the end of the podcast. And we will be, for the middle part of the podcast, we'll be talking about the VBBFL and what to expect in week 1, as we do have an announcement for the first week, and we'll bring that to you when we get to that segment. But first, let's talk about the games. So if you're new to Virtual Ball Boys, we assign 3 games into 3 different categories. You know, just to kind of like what we vote as the game of the week, the blowout of the week, and the team chaos of the week. So we basically, it's the game that we think has a lot we need to talk a lot about, just because of how terrible it was for one team with the blowout. And the team chaos, of course, is the upset. the upset of the week, essentially the surprise of the week. But first, we're going to talk about the game that was the most entertaining. It wasn't necessarily like I like when we talk like America's Game of the Week and shit, like the Fox branding, like everyone was excited for Buccaneers and Saints. It didn't really live up to the hype, if we're gonna be real honest here.
Absolutely not.
But so I'm not gonna. We can talk about it. But first, we're talking Bears at Lions, and Mr. Matt, you have you watched this in real time, so please break this down for us.
Okay, so at first I was like, I'm going into the season as a Bears fan, just trying to root for the team not falling apart and obliterating, and that's what it seemed like to start, because Mitch was being Mitch. Bad passes and lost offensive drives were happening. It was 6-6 at one point, which was nice, and then they scored before halftime, and then third quarter happened, and it all seemed to go to shit. And I was sad. And then the fourth quarter came around, and Mitch Trubisky lit up the fucking house, throwing 3 touchdowns, coming back and going past the Lions in score. And were thankfully saved by a DeAndre Swift drop that would have put the Lions ahead to win. But holy shit, I was clenched the entire fourth quarter.
I mean it was just I didn't get to see it in real time. I had other things that I had been working on, but I got a chance to look back, see some of the highlights from it, and it just seems like the Lions started out what we kind of expected them to be. Unfortunately, they were without Kenny Galladay in this game, but felt like an offensive heavy game. Didn't really feel like it was the Lions defense that was necessarily making the stops. It was a little bit more the Bears kind of tripping over their own feet during the first 3 quarters. But the offense was solid for Detroit, and then all of a sudden the Bears defense kind of stiffened a little bit, and
clutch
the Lions...
interception from Kyle Fuller as well.
Yeah, and then this Bears team went on a run. Just a quick we never do this. Next gen stats NFL. Real quick about all 3 of Mitch Trubisky's fourth quarter touchdown passes were thrown into tight windows, which basically means that's less than 1 yard of receiver separation. This ties Blake Bortles, Week 8 of 2016, for the most tight window touchdown passes in the game since 2016. I don't know why they wrote since 2016 again. That was courtesy of Patrick Claybon, my favorite Twitter account.
Bortles!
But yeah, there you go. So, I mean, I don't know if that's a great comparison for your quarterback, but...
I made, after the game, I made the muscle Doge and crying Doge meme, which is the crying Doge is Mitch in quarters 1 through 3, and the strong Doge is Mitch in quarter 4.
But yeah, Mitch in Q4 is just the next best the next best like Transformers character.
But can he do that the rest of the game? Because if he plays that well the rest of the game.
So this is what I'm thinking, because like, just to focus on the Bears right now, like I look at that what happened, and like it was a hard watch for three quarters, but then he came out, and did well for the last quarter. The only thing is that like I just don't right now. It's hard to say like how much it is one team and how much it is the other. And like totally. the Lions could have won this game if there wasn't if Swift didn't drop the ball, in the end zone, which was, and like again, like that. I don't think this was a great day for the Bears, a bad day for the Lions, but I don't think it's necessarily a prognosis of what their season's going to look like.
Absolutely not. I am celebrating just because it was an insane victory. I'm still not super confident the rest of the season. I am confident for the start of our season.
No, absolutely, and I think that you're looking at the Bears. The big thing that has to adjust for them is that their defense still needs to get there again. Like I think that they've stiffened up again in the fourth quarter, but it was really not. It was not great for them through the first 3. And I would love to see them step up more. Kyle Fuller again came up in the clutch, which was great for you guys, and he's been your guys' top quarterback for quite a few seasons now. If I'm Detroit, I just add this to the catalog of heartbreak. The Lions just seem to be that team that Mitch just continues to get constantly. Trubisky just constantly beats the Lions. I don't think he's lost against the Lions to this point.
He has not. I was at Bears Lions game a couple seasons ago. That was fun.
So I think Kenny Galladay was missed. I would love to see him step up step back in again. What did you think of the running game for the Lions?
It was better than I was expecting. I was surprised that Carrion got the first. Well, no, I shouldn't have been that surprised because he was the veteran on the team. I think that Swift will easily have the job by the end of the year.
Yeah,
like no question, because that guy's very athletic, and the drop to pass, like he's a rookie. It's his first NFL game with no preseason, so
definitely
not gonna fault him on that.
Yeah, and Peterson came out, got just under 100 yards. It looked like.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that the offense can function well. It's just like what's gonna happen with this defense if it's not gonna hold up for the full game for the Detroit. Like that would be my biggest concern.
Yeah, they've also got a lot of injury issues right now.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, that's your game of the week. Let's go to the blowout of the week, and a familiar face, the Cleveland Browns. The Browns went into Baltimore, and look, I think we all could have seen this coming a little bit. With the Ravens, kind of, they're the reigning number 1 seed in the AFC. They are this juggernaut team that didn't really lose a ton in the offseason. The Browns, again, we say that they look good on paper, but that paper looks really thin. And we thought that, okay, maybe this could be a game because the Browns did beat up on the Ravens last year in Baltimore. But it ended in a 38-6 absolute walloping. The 6 points all came in the first quarter for the Browns, and it was zips across the board for the rest of the way. Having taken in this game a little bit, I watched some of it on Game Pass. I mean, if there's one consolation that I can give the Browns, it's the fact that their run defense did slow down a team that's known for running. But there's really not much. The secondary is not good. Baker Mayfield is not great.
Nope.
Odell Beckham is not showing up at all the way that they wanted him to. Offensive line, it was okay. It wasn't what you would want to expect. And Myles Garrett even wasn't that great. And these are all players that are supposed to be your stars on the team.
Yeah, it's a bad thing when your progressive commercials are better than your play on the field. Did you see the new one where he shouts at a groundskeeper? He's like, "Oh, we got to cover up the furniture. It's about to rain," and then he goes to put individual seat covers on all of the seats in the stadium.
Yeah, I don't know if I found it extremely funny because I feel like there's sometimes where there's players that do commercials that get really into the character. Baker just sounded like he was reading lines a little bit, just a tad.
But that's still better than how he played, which was awful.
Exactly.
Like we expected the Browns to be good-ish. I think, at least average. I don't think we expected them to be this bad, but it's definitely a nice confidence boost for the Ravens, who are now starting the year super strong and are going to definitely steamroll this season. We'll see if the Browns were just that bad to let the Ravens do that, or if the Ravens have maintained their skill level from last year.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a Ravens fan looking at this game, it's just I would say this was the perfect way to start the season.
This is your preseason game, which now you can start the season 1-0.
Yeah, you've gotten past this Browns team that you were birthed from, and now and kick their ass. And then you go into next week with another team in the Texans that was humiliated this week. And if I'm the Browns, it's a short week now. They go to the Bengals. I'm just, how can they adjust moving forward, and how can this team prove to society that it has gotten better, if it has? I don't know. It's worth wondering. All right.
At least there's team spirit from Odell Beckham enjoying the Brown.
Oh, come on. God damn it. God, I did think that was where you were going with that, and I was just like enjoying the Brown, like,
Team chaos of the week.
Yes. So the team. So this was tough because I would say like the two teams that were most picked against this week, ended up winning their games. But I'm gonna go with the team that everyone thought was gonna be tanking for Trevor, and going with the Jaguars here. It was a game that felt like the Colts were going to take control of, and especially to start off the second half, the second quarter. Like it felt like this team was going to go up big. And then all of a sudden the Jaguars started rallying. It ended up being 17-14 at the half. And then things started getting close, and Gardner Minshew had a pretty nice game. Wasn't throwing a ton of deep passes, throwing things short of the stakes, but only ended up missing one throw, and it wasn't even a missed throw; it was a drop.
The entire game.
Yeah, it was impressive, and you know, on the Colts side of things, who knows what happened? I think that part of it was Phillip Rivers with the interceptions was a problem. And you know, there's some reason to believe that the Colts defense was a little bit iffy for the start of this whole thing. But I don't think that at the end of the day, and Colts lost Marlon Mack to an ACL injury, unfortunately. But with Hines and Taylor, those guys shined in this game, and so I would expect the run game to be okay for the Colts. What was your thoughts from this?
Minshew is doing a great job to prevent them from drafting his replacement.
Yeah, right? Like, imagine if after all this, it's just like, yeah, you know what? We got rid of all the veterans to potentially organically tank, but we like what Minshew has brought to the table.
Get another player somewhere else and build up from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would just be so insane to see that happen. But hey, look, like this, we had the Dolphins marked, you know, early on, and of course that they were blown out multiple weeks in a row in September last year. You know, but this is a great start for the Jaguars team.
Absolutely.
You know, out of the gate, they have they have a young defense, but they have a lot of talent on that team. CJ Henderson looks like a star.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, he kicked ass. If I'm the Colts, I'm not too worried. I mean, I know that, like, yeah, you lost to the Jaguars. Like, that's rough. But I still think that this team has a good amount of potential and talent that, like, it's week one, shrug it off. At least it wasn't to the Titans or Texans. Like, you got a season ahead of you. I think that some of these things can be fixed going into week two.
Totally.
So there you go. All right. Three additional thoughts on the week. How about you start, Matt?
The NFC West is going to be fucking nuts.
Okay, good. This is a good start.
Like, what the hell? 3 of their teams won, and the only reason why the 4th one didn't is because they played another one, and it was the Super Bowl contenders last year that lost.
Yeah.
What?
It is wild because, like, I mean, and this will flow into my thought here. The Seahawks are really good. Like, so both of us picked Russell Wilson as an MVP. Both of us have Seahawks winning the division. I had
Seahawks in the Super Bowl.
Right, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So, you know, from my perspective going into this week, because that Seahawks at Falcons was the super fucko matchup, didn't go my way on this front. But
thankfully,
the Seahawks, they notoriously go off to slow starts to the season. They've done that for quite a few seasons now. What happens now when not only is this team coming out flying, they are coming out not even running the ball like a ton. They had Russell Wilson throwing out, like, everyone's saying they let Russ cook, and that was the case because he threw 4 fucking touchdown passes. You don't see it. Like, the Seahawks aura has been, we're going to run the ball as long as possible until Russell Wilson is needed, and then we're going to have him play like stellar football for the rest of the game. But how about this, Seahawks? Let's have Russell Wilson just kick ass from the quarter one, with 15 minutes on the clock to zeros on the clock at fourth quarter. Like just have him kick ass throughout. And he did it, and it was amazing.
Oh my god, it was amazing football. I love Russell Wilson.
Yeah. And then like you said, the Cardinals came out, were great. And the Rams look like they're almost back to what they were.
Yeah.
So just it's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to it as well. Do you have another thought to add to it?
Injuries are really going to affect a lot of teams this year, and that seems like, well, duh, like Galaxy Brain take there, but even with all the Eagles injuries, we still thought the Eagles were going to beat Washington. That didn't happen.
Nope, that did not happen.
A lot of people thought Cowboys were going to win. A lot of important Cowboy defensive players got injured. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye win. Yeah,
that was rough. Yeah, I won't count this as my second thought, but we have to give credit to where Washington's defense, because
especially the line.
I've been saying, like, since this whole drama happened with Washington, that we thought they were going to be bad on the bottom of the league, and I still do think so in the grand scheme of things, but I kept on saying that the one strength of this team is that they have a kick-ass defense, and especially up front, where you have Chase Young, you got Jonathan Allen, you got Daron Payne, you got all these first-round draft picks that are now showing up and wreaking havoc. Ryan Kerrigan, like you got, and Ryan Kerrigan, of course, has been a long-time veteran on the team, but regardless, like you got, this is a strong defensive front that's gonna help them win probably more games than we expect.
Yeah,
because it's just
so.
They're just, it's a monster line. In terms of the injury take, like it is gonna start out like Marlon Mack was the probably biggest season-ending injury. Michael Thomas is now going to be out though. Landon Van Esch is going to be out. That was another Cowboys injury, but Blake Jarwin out for the season as well. Richard Sherman just went on the IR for the 49ers. Le'Veon Bell is probably going to be out for a little while. So, yeah, this is going to be an injury-riddled year. So everyone just got to be prepared that like these teams might look different week to week just based off of that alone. I have thoughts on the Giants. I had looked at this game and I did not think they were going to win it, and they didn't. But I walk away from this game not worried about Daniel Jones. I thought he played relatively well under the circumstances of playing probably the best defense in the league, or one of the best. The offensive line, as much as, again, how much pressure it was with the defense, it didn't really fall apart. Like, they had some openings that worked out for them. And the Giants defense did seem like a little competent, that they kept the Steelers offense at bay at times, but then Benny Snell happened, and it was the end of days. And also, what I am worried about with this Giants team, and I didn't ever really thought that. I mean, although I don't know, I guess it was kind of predictable that it would get to this point. But I am a little worried about Saquon Barkley, because I understand it was the Steelers defense, and I give full credit to them, but how much more hitting can this guy get and still remain at this franchise changing level that he was like tagged to have when he got drafted number 2?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's rough, and he's gonna have a rough go this season, especially against good defenses. Which, hey, he gets to face this week and the week after that.
Yeah.
The week after that.
I worry about him right now. We're trying to remain at a dominant level. It is concerning to me. Any other thoughts from you?
Not really. I think we covered everything I would want to say.
Yeah, I just want to say one more note. Packers Vikings. Man, I just talk about like changing of storylines real quick in that game.
Yep.
Packers look real good on paper now.
Oh wait,
not on paper, but
yeah, it was like, oh wait, Vikings defense we thought might be okay actually isn't that okay.
Yeah, it was the secondary was a big issue. The pass rush wasn't there. I think Yannick Ngakoue did not have a good start to his run as a Viking. The defense was bad. The defense was really the bad part, and even the offense was off to a slow start that really put them in a bad way. So but the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is angry, and that's gonna be the storyline for probably the next few weeks. I'm still skeptical about the Packers' chances moving forward, but hey,
they have a really nice start to the year.
Yes, it was a good start. The Bears fan grinds his teeth as he thinks about it.
They do get to face the Saints week 3, though, so
there you go. We'll see about that.
Could get some restitution there.
All right. We'll return to the NFL in a second. So as we talked about all off season, really, but if you're only just joining us for the season. We talked about last week how we are launching a football league. And ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to announce that the start of the football league is this Saturday, September 19th. Is that the September date, right? That's Saturday, 19th?
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay,
yep.
I'm being dumb. So September 19th, we don't know exactly what time that's going to be. We will post that on Twitter. But also you can follow us at the Twitch channel. Team Chaos Productions is going to be the Twitch channel that we're going to stream to. So if you want to follow us there, you'll know when we go live. You'll get a notification. I'm thinking somewhere in the afternoon, but we'll talk about it.
Yep.
But in honor of the first week of the VBBFL, I figured let's break down the matchups. Let's talk about these teams the first time in season. And I have the matches for week 1 here. And so generally we're going to talk about the matchups themselves in the tabletop sense. So again, to reiterate, this is going to be a tabletop football simulation. So we have assigned stats to each of these teams that are going to be used to calculate along with like dice rolls. And so we're going to be talking about that.
I did a lot of math to put together the schedule, by the way.
Yeah, you kicked ass on that. It was a lot of just trying to mentally try to organize things, and
it was a puzzle.
It was the puzzle that he was able to solve. I greatly appreciate it. And on top of that, we'll also talk about the rosters, the video game characters that are going to be involved in each matchup. So yeah, let's start with the Perth Amboy Privateers versus the Escondido Artisans. So this the Perth Amboy was drafted by fellow TCP member Mr. Matthew Walsh, and it was quite a fun array of characters that he drafted. What's the and talk to the, if you could, Matt, talk to the audience about what the statistics are, and then the specific stats for the Perth Amboy Privateers.
Yeah, so each player on the team, there are 12 players total. Each player has an offense stat, a defense stat, and a ball handling stat. So these stats work out in different ways. They all also add up to 0. For example, one of Walsh's quarterbacks, Big Boss, has an offense score of 3, and then a defense score of -2, and a ball handling score of -1. They all even out to 0. And that's the same thing with the total stats in the end. So all the different players have a different thing, different stat, different highs and lows. And when it gets down to it, we have a -3 offense stat, a -3 defense stat, and a 6 ball handling stat for the Perth Amboy Privateers.
Yeah, so and essentially the way that the game action works is that you would start out an offensive drive with one team doing an offensive check and the other team doing a defensive check, and if the whether or not the offensive check is successful, the next step is the ball handling stat. Like if the offense was successful in the first roll, you'd roll the ball handling stat with advantage, and then if you are if the defensive roll was successful, you would have to roll ball handling with disadvantage, and that would basically determine whether or not you have a successful drive.
We have the leading up to this podcast within the past month, we have done practice games for this, so you can go check those out if you want further clarification on the rules.
Yeah, it was basically the few episodes before week 1 where we did 2 different matchups of them, and it was a lot of fun to play them, and I'm excited to actually get to play these in real time during the stream. So yeah, let's just real quick go to Escondido. What's the final stats for these guys?
Escondido was drafted by Gabe, other TCP member. And their stats: offense with a 4, defense -1, ball handling -3. So a little bit more offensive, but both of these teams are pretty balanced. I would say that Perth Amboy definitely has a bump in ball handling, and a slight bump for Escondido in offense, but overall these teams are fairly balanced.
Absolutely. All right, so let's break down the matchup. What do you think is going to be the advantage here for Perth Amboy?
So obviously the ball handling stat, the ability to no matter if you have advantage or disadvantage on this roll, being able to have that +6 and trying to beat that as well as you can when you're going up against the defense, I think is going to be very important.
And I in terms of like the characters for Perth Amboy, I like if we were to actually put this array of teams, which you could check out the team creations and all that in our past off-season podcast. I greatly appreciate you if you would do that. We've also been posting about the teams on the TCP Twitter account, so you could definitely check that out. The Perth Amboy Privateers, I think the best player on this team, I feel like, is Pyramid Head from the Silent Hill series, because you don't really see a lot of positive offense, positive defense stats, but this guy has a positive a 1 on offense, a 4 on defense, but then a -5 on the ball handling, and it didn't even negatively affect the ball handling.
The overall ball handling score, yeah.
So I'm very curious to see what Pyramid Head does. Any characters that in the circumstance of like imagining this was a football game, what character on Perth Amboy would you most look forward to seeing in a football field?
I would love to see Sly Cooper there. I have a soft spot for that raccoon.
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely. Now Escondido, the offensive stat is the big one here, and I mean it really the 4 is going to help Escondido kind of set things up for themselves, make it a lot easier for them to overcome a -3 ball handling upon like doing multiple rolls, but yeah, I think that this is going to be an interesting team to see on the offensive front. What character on this team do you think stands out?
Something that helps Escondido out a lot is Shante for their kicking. Great kicker, and that ball handling stat will really, I think, incentivize them to go for kicks more often than extra point attempts because they have such a big boost there.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Shante has a 5 for ball handling. The kicking kind of works how if you get a 10 or better, the kick goes through. If you get anything below that, it does not go through, and so having a 5 there automatically, like it increases the chances tenfold right there.
It's an 80% chance you'll kick it.
There you go. The one thing that still pisses me off, our good friend Gabe, made the joke that about a character from the FNAF series, Phone Guy, that he would be a great receiver, a wide receiver,
because phones have receivers. And I don't know why I haven't said this sentence yet, but because he made that, he's never allowed to groan at any of my puns ever again.
I feel like that has not been enacted just quite yet.
It hasn't. But if he listens to this,
now it's podcast official. Now it's podcast official. But yeah, Phone Guy, man, like I'm trying to picture myself. What the hell does Phone Guy look like on a football field? That's the one that I'm just most curious about.
Is it a disembodied voice? Is it the phone itself? Is it a person?
Like,
is it one of the animatronics in disguise? We don't know.
like the characters are like. The characters for this is so much fun because we're going to be able to create scenarios in which these guys are playing football.
Yeah.
And so I have to describe Phone Guy as just it's so strange. It's so strange, but it's so good, and I'm excited about it. All right, next up on our list, the Brain Nerd Paladins versus the Anaconda Mountaineers. The Brain Nerd Paladins was drafted by Gokub's. Was he an old roommate of yours?
Former roommate, yes.
Yes, Jacob. And the Anaconda Mountaineers. Was drafted by my sister Kelsey, and what stands out to you? Well, just to go a little bit more broad here, what stands out to you with both of these teams?
So Brainerd is a very balanced team. They have a 2 on offense, -1 on both defense and ball handling. Neither of those are really going to help them super well, but nothing's going to hurt them extremely either. So I think that's a big plus in their favor. Where the Mountaineers are going to get scored on left, right, and center because of their -10 in defense.
Mm-hmm.
They have a great offense and ball handling stat with a 2 in offense and 8 in ball handling, which means that when they are on offense, they will likely get scores. But that drastically low defense score is going to really hurt them in the end.
Yeah, Anaconda Mountaineers are going to have to win shootouts.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be hard, especially I think against the balanced team like Brain Nerd. I'm a little worried for Anaconda a bit. Although I don't know, like considering maybe Brain Nerd has like lower stats overall, like maybe that there's more room for error with the Paladins in terms of scoring, right. And Anaconda might be able to score on a lot of these drives, especially because if you're looking at the ball handling front of things, like. That almost like the 8's gonna really make a difference here.
Yeah, that's it feels almost certainly the ball handling will let them get the catch and get the score.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, one player on the Anaconda that you are looking forward to role playing as, essentially.
Chaz McFreely, dude. Chris and I being huge Mysims nerds, and no one else in our group knowing what a Mysim is, yet Kelsey still drafting Chaz McFreely, just amazing. Great offense stat with that 4, which really helps them out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is the what ties for the best offensive style on the team. So, yeah. Really enjoying that. If I had to look forward to any character on this team, it has to be Boomer Boomer, the penguin from Animal Crossing. Just such a, like Boomer has been a resident. Just to give background, has been a longtime resident of Kelsey's New Horizons island, and we love him, especially when he gets ready for bed and has a sleeping cat on top of his pilot cap. It's truly special, and he deserves every opportunity to be a kicker. He's not the best kicker on the team. This is one of the few teams that have 2 kickers,
multiple kickers. But so does Brainerd though, which is interesting.
Oh, so this is the battle between like a plethora of kickers.
Yeah,
I love it. This is great,
and I actually think these might be the only 2 teams. Let me check.
Oh, maybe. But just for the Brainerd front. Oh, it does. Wow. Yep. Here we go. The kicker showdown. I'm ready for it. If I had to pick a player on the Brainerd Paladins, I would say Oh man, there's a good chunk. I'm curious as to what Rob's impact's gonna be, because it seems like he has one of the stronger defense. Although there's also Womp who has 6 on defense. Rob has 3. But no, I like Rob on the football field. I feel like he's just been this random character that has now become a bigger part of Nintendo ever since it got rebirthed in the Smash Bros series. And I don't know, I'm kind of curious just to see like how we would role play this mysterious character.
I only have one answer that is suitable, and it is Heavy.
Heavy from Team Fortress 2.
Team Fortress 2 is one of the just all around like funniest characters probably ever written in a video game. Although that's hard because Soldier is right there from TF2.
Yeah. I love it.
Pure being of chaos and bulk and sandwich. I love it. The fact that he's so strong on defense and offense is scary.
I can't believe him and Eggman are on the same team.
Heavy and Eggman are both just... I really like this team.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it. All right, next up is... what do I have here? Okay, Mansfield Weavers versus Phoenix City Phoenixes.
All right, the best team name in the league.
Yes. So Mansfield Weavers, Gabe actually got his brother to help us out. Ricky was able to draft for the Mansfield Weavers.
I got him.
And the Phoenix City Phoenixes was drafted by Walsh's best friend, or one of his best friends, Matt Licht. Appreciate Matt Licht coming through on the clutch.
Coming through the clutch and adding another Matt to the mix, because we are confusing enough as it is. Anyone named Matt will understand.
It is just there's too much Matts happening. By the way, one thing that hasn't happened yet this season, and I know we're only 2 episodes in, we haven't heard from Matt Watch yet. The Matt Watch segment.
We haven't, and I don't think there's been anything to report.
Okay, all right.
So,
but you're still on the scene though.
I'm on the scene.
Yeah.
I definitely missed. I did not do the Matt Watch for Matt Brieda when he went to Miami. For the draft. Because we were so focused on the draft.
Yeah.
So here's an honorary one right now.
Okay.
This has been Matt Watch. Matt Brieda was traded to the Dolphins like 5 months ago.
Okay, cool. I'm glad to know this knowledge about Matt Brieda. It's just good to be reintroduced to it. But okay, so Mansfield Weavers. Let's start with there because we talked about a team that was in Anaconda that has a really bad defensive stat. But this one's strong.
This is the only positive defense stat in the league. Fun fact.
Really? Holy shit.
Yep.
Huh. So, do you think that Mansfield's gonna like dominate?
I think Mansfield has an insane advantage as a result of that. And if we do this next year, we need to add more players on defense in general to make sure that things are a little more balanced.
Yeah, I was going very when we're structuring this. We kind of went very fantasy football-esque, where we put heavy emphasis on the various different offensive positions and not so much the defensive positions. I was hoping that the defense would kind of, some of the offensive players would have strong defensive stats, but that didn't end up coming to fruition. But that's okay. It's all good. It's all experimental.
We have a 7 in defense for Mansfield with -4 offense, -3 ball handling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that defensive stat, because the defense stat is used against 2 checks, it's used against the first offensive roll, and then against the ball handling roll. The fact that it's so high and is able to count for 2 things, I think is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think what's fun is that this is the best defense in the league versus the best offense in the league.
Yes.
The 12 on offense for Phoenix City.
That's hot.
-6 for defense, -6 for ball handling. So here's the thing though, like as good as that is, that I do think that there could be that concern that the -6s might hold the team back, but 12 is freaking great.
12 is great, and this is really the only team that can stand up to the 7 of Mansfield.
Right. In terms of the offensive side of things,
Right.
I feel like ball handling is gonna end up playing so much more of a factor than offense of stat personally. From just based off of how we've played this far, I feel like ball handling is gonna play a factor in terms of like. But the offensive stat is important because if getting the advantage on the ball handling roll is so freaking big.
It increases your like the you can't luck is something that people can't control. But you can manipulate it by giving yourself more chances.
Right.
So
right.
by having a good offensive stat, giving yourself more chances to be lucky, that's what luck is.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's going to be probably the most fascinating matchup of the day.
Absolutely.
So what? All right. So then, Mansfield, who's your player to watch?
Mansfield, I want to see that Sonic speed.
Hell yeah. That's the best offensive player on the team.
Yeah, 5 on offense. That if that didn't exist, this would be a much different story.
Yeah. I love that Mario and Sonic are sharing a team. And
poetic.
Fox. And Fox.
Yeah.
So a lot of protagonists. Captain Falcon, Frank West, at least for the first Dead Rising game.
Flappy Bird,
the
Ratchet.
greatest protagonist of all. I would, in terms of, I think Flappy Bird is probably my favorite of this group. I absolutely love that Flappy Bird it gets the spotlight after its like very small sensation that it had like one time in like 2014, 2013, whatever that was.
I think 14. But
yeah, so excited to see Flappy Bird back in action as a wide receiver. It's great. All right, Phoenix City Phoenixes. What do you like here?
All right, so very offensive team. Looking at it, we have 2 players on this team with a negative defense stat. I just looked at that now, and I am terrified. I think that I got to do Blaziken, the kicker. One of my favorite Pokemon. Excellent choice. Chicken with large legs.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that Peabody Peabody is the wide receiver of this team. Holds a warm spot in my heart. Like he's just such a big part of the Portal world for us. He got a 3 on offense, and a 2 on ball handling. So he's just one of the better offensive players on the team overall.
Yeah.
All right, and last but not least, the finale of the week: East Chicago Blacksmiths versus the Weatherford Sheriffs.
So I'm glad that East Chicago gets to start away because the away uniforms for East Chicago are my favorite uniforms that I designed for this.
Yeah, we went hard. We went to design. Walsh designed logos. Matt designed uniforms. I designed character pages. But no, it's just you guys need to follow us on Team Chaos Productions on our Twitter handle. Is it just at Team Chaos Pods? At Team Chaos Pods,
yes.
Yeah, that you need to follow us there because we've been posting almost every day the different teams and like the uniforms, the logos, the players themselves. Oh man, it's so good. I'm so excited for this. So East Chicago was drafted by another good friend of Walsh's, Jess, a good friend of ours, of course. And the Weatherford Sheriffs was drafted by my future brother-in-law, Anthony. What is it about East Chicago Blacksmiths that make them interesting?
So this like Brainerd is a very balanced team. They have a 2 on offense, -1 on both defense and ball handling, very in the middle. So again, nothing's gonna stand out for them, but nothing's gonna hurt them in the end. Mm-hmm. So it's gonna be basically mostly down to the dice rolls to determine winners. And I'm very excited for when East Chicago and Brainerd face, which is looking through the schedule. Please tell me I didn't fuck up.
Oh no!
After all this time, realized that I fucked up. Oh, it's on the fucking thing. Oh, week 9.
Week 9. There you go. just utter panic just kicks in. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be fascinating because that's such a toss up.
Yeah.
That's a literal definition of a toss up because they have the same exact stats.
Yep.
And then you have Weatherford, which is a interesting, probably one of the more unique designs because you have the same stat for offensive and ball handling in 3, and then -6 on defense.
Yeah, I really thought this was going to be more of an offensive team, like have that be the specialty, so that we'd have kind of like one of each thing. But that kind of went to Escondido, and we don't have a defensive team in the West.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting because I find it that like it's cool to see the offense and ball handling in sync because that kind of makes it feel like the offense as a whole is kind of like in similar motion instead of it being like a great offensive stat and a mediocre ball handling stat. Like you're great with beginning the execution of the play, but then the end of the play it's a mess.
Yeah,
or
you
vice versa.
still need to roll relatively high, but if you go against some of the worst defenses, like either Anaconda or Phoenix City or Perth Amboy, like you're gonna have a nice time.
Yeah,
with those plus
sure.
3s.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I'm very curious to see how this one plays out. Because these teams seem a little bit closer on the stat line than it seems. It's just the defense is much worse for the Sheriffs than the Blacksmiths. Right. All right, what's your player for the Blacksmiths that you like?
I'm gonna go with Inkling because I think Inkling is a really cool defensive pick to play kind of that more like in the back role and be sneaky. I like that selection a lot.
Yeah, I love the 1-2 tandem of Toad and Wallaby. They're the running back duo.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's the purest the running back group I've ever seen in my life. It's great. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Toad and Wallaby, what damage they do. Because I think that they can kick ass in this league. All right, what about Weatherford for you?
Wrecking Ball from Overwatch, just because we made their ball handling 6.
God, we made so many memes with this with so many meme jokes with
it's so
when
easy
creating
because
these
it's
stats.
called ball handling and it's a thing, but like it's ball handling.
I know.
That's just an easy thing to make fun of.
I know it is. The fact that when we told Walsh that his team was very high on ball handling, he was just like, oh hell yeah, so excited. I really like the Weatherford Sheriffs in terms of its roster. I feel like they're like the most intimidating roster of all of them, or up there at least for the most intimidating.
Mansfield
roster.
Might beat them.
Mansfield in terms of like the. Yes, that's true. Yeah, because Kato
and Bison,
and Bison, yeah,
and the scariest of them all, Shadow the Hedgehog.
I like the see. Crash is one of the characters I was really thinking about with this league because I felt like it just was not that Crash is like built like a football player, but just an Adam. I can never say the word anamorphic.
Okay, all right, say it with me.
And
throw.
It's the throw. It's the throw part. Okay, so anthropomorphic.
Pomorphic.
Pomorphic.
Anthropomorphic.
Anthropomorphic.
There you go. It's like think like anthropology, which is the study of humans, which is where anther comes from.
Anthropomorphic animal.
There you go.
It's like like to me it was very fitting for Crash to finally get on to get a spot on the roster. I don't know if I forget if the Sheriffs drafted him up early. We did also again if you are new, we did this huge freaking draft episode that I'm very proud of. I thought it was
it's one of the best episodes I think of that we've made as Team Cast Productions.
Yeah, Crash. Crash was round 3. I think we didn't get a chance to announce that. But yeah, so I just think that that's a great pick. That's the most of the offense is located to with Crash
and
he 5.
He has some speed on his wide receiver core. Crash and then Tracer and Lucio, both very fast characters in Overwatch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. So all these matchups are gonna go down this Saturday Again, we'll let you know about a time. Most likely will be posted in Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, just follow us on Twitter at Team Chaos Pods. You'll get the latest on that. And with that, we move back to the NFL now, and we move on to week 2. Turn the page. This is for 16 teams. It's to keep the momentum going to get to 2-0, and for 16 others, it's to avoid complete disaster by starting things off 0-2. How about you start us off, Matt?
All right, so starting off, do we want to go through how we did?
Oh yes, yeah. Let's. Yeah. Do you want to talk about how poorly you did?
Do I want to gloat and talk about how great I am? No.
Yeah. So this was, like, if this was what was it? If everything can go wrong, will go wrong. What's the theory? What is that called? There's a theory, like it's called something.
Everything that can.
Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. Regardless.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law. There you go. So I was the definition of Murphy's Law this week. Almost it was every single game. It felt like was ended with the exception of Seahawks Falcons, which was like basically decided by like the second quarter. All the rest of the disagreements were decided on crazy comebacks, freak accidents,
or just general unluck.
Just
lack of luck. Like,
and so
how could you have predicted a fumble and then the kicker missing the field goal by the Bengals?
It's rough. It's rough. But
yeah,
regardless, an impressive 11-5 mark by Matt this week. So that puts him 11-5. That puts him at 6 points. He did not get his team chaos, so no additional points. 6 points.
But I got my lock.
Yeah. Oh, you got your lock though.
Yeah.
I can't say the same.
Which was a struggle for me last year. So.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Absolutely. 6-10 for me. And I got my guarantee wrong and didn't get the team chaos right. So that puts me 6 minus 10 is -4, but then just make it even lower, -5. I am down by 9 points.
Do that
already.
Math again.
Oh wait, 11 points. You're right. I apologize. 11 points to start out the season. Yeah. Wow. It was rough, but anything can happen. Things can change.
We'll see how.
Can change on the win. But I applaud you. I think there was a part of me that wanted. I was like, I'm going to try to be a little bit bolder, pick some upsets that not even refer to them as Team Chaos. They almost all backfired. So, but I like the idea though of trying to be more aggressive. I don't think this week I'm being as aggressive, but I think that's what my approach for my tile defense is. Just pick some wild games as the upsets, and why not? Let's just ride, see what happens. But yes, anyways, that's where we stand in the pick competition. Kick us off with TNF.
All right, so Thursday Night Football, we go off of having the wonderful season opener of Super Bowl champions to standard fare for Thursday Night Football. Both of these, like, I dare you to find me a September where both of these teams are not featured.
It has been a while.
Yeah. So
it's been a while.
Whether not necessarily playing each other, but at some point, one of these two teams will be in Thursday Night Football in September. It is the Bengals and Browns, the current bottom half of the AFC North, and the Ohio Orange teams. Bengals coming off of a sucky loss that was really close, and the Browns got flattened. How's it going to pan out this time, Christopher?
I like this game, weirdly.
Yeah, me too.
This. I think that this could be a fun game because I think there's a lot of stake for both of these teams. The Bengals, they want to get out of the rut they've been in since last year with how badly the season went for them. And they want to show that Joe Burrow is here to plant his fat flag in the NFL. With the Browns, they have even more to prove because this is a organization that is desperate to show people that the talent that they acquired can and will work out. And I I look at this point. I'm picking the Browns, and I'm just gonna say this: if they lose this game, and it's not the worst game to lose, but if you lose this game, I'm gonna have a very hard time picking this team against anyone, including next week's opponent against Washington. Very hard time picking them anymore after this, but I will give them one last shot here. I'll go Browns.
I'm not even willing to give them that.
Fair.
I do think that the Bengals showed some solid stuff against a good Chargers defense, and they'll get the chance to do it against a not so good Browns defense, and I'll pick the Bengals.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'm just holding on to hope.
Yep.
One last little inch. There's a little dust in the little dust left. Hold on to that little dust. It'll fade away by the third quarter on Thursday night.
Yep.
The Falcons will be going to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Another pair of 0-1 teams facing off against each other. Falcons, man, their defense once again just disappears to start the season, and is just non-existent. And as for the Cowboys, they're dealt with injuries, and their offensive line was manhandled by Aaron Donald. Who's gonna redeem themselves this week?
I was milling back and forth on what I wanted to do for Team Chaos, and I'm gonna take it this week, I think, and pick the Falcons to upset the Cowboys.
Okay. All right.
I don't have a ton of hope, but the passing for Atlanta is extremely good. Even against Seattle, like, they were still able to just air out the ball throughout that entire game, and and the Cowboys are dealing with injuries, so I think that there's a chance that Atlanta can win here.
Yeah, I think that the offense looked good at spots for in that Seahawks in the Seahawks game, but a lot of the points and a lot of the action for them really came in the second half and in garbage time.
Oh, the garbage man can.
It was a lot of garbage points. This is another one of those scenarios where I just look at the Cowboys and I think that they will have an opportunity to redeem themselves. I think that it was not so much the Cowboys were bad last week. I think it was more so that the Rams are better than what we expected.
I agree with that.
And I do think that the Cowboys, there's just something about the Falcons in September that they just have not been able to get together in recent years. It's hard for me to really put more faith behind them again. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys here.
Cool. Next up, we have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins. Bills coming off of a trouncing of their fellow New York team, where the Dolphins lost to the Cam Newton-led Patriots. Didn't do too bad, though. Not as bad as you would expect. How's this matchup going to go, though?
So I mean, I look at this right now. I think the Bills, they started off really strong against the Jets. Kind of a little slowed down near the end of the game, but again, it's when you get to garbage time like that, it's just kind of like I can't really judge a team that hard. They definitely could be. Josh Allen could play a little bit better than what he has. He makes some great plays, and then all of a sudden gives up the ball in ridiculous circumstances. I really love this Bills defense, and I think that especially since Fitz is starting again this week, and Fitz just this is the down slope for Ryan Fitzpatrick rather. So I gotta go Bills here.
I'm also going Bills. This is a very easy choice.
Yeah, definitely. All right, it's a VBB matchup. My Giants versus Matt's
My Bears.
The Bears. So the Giants, coming off a loss to the Steelers, some hope, some real big disappointment in the first week. The Bears almost just were sleeping in Detroit for 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden came out firing in the fourth and came back in a probably what was it ended like the Bears biggest comeback in
it was
years?
since the 90s.
Damn. So what do you think? What do you think he's gonna win it?
Listen, I don't I don't have a ton of confidence in the Bears, but I still think we'll be able to beat the Giants. Not that the Giants are bottom of the barrel like they have been, but I feel confident in the Bears, especially at home. Not that home is really a thing right now, but, I'm going with the Bears.
I'm going to go with the Bears, too. I just look at this team right now. Don't have a ton of faith in Mitch Trubisky, but I felt like I'm not like a big like momentum guy. I kind of think it's a little bit of a farce, but I do think that there is a confidence that kind of can go into a team after coming back from that and knowing that like, okay, we can overcome this deficit. And the Giants, I do think, are a worse team overall than the Lions. So I think the Bears will take care of business.
Sweet. Next up, two of the Monday night opponents now face each other. We have the Denver Broncos and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers coming off of a win. Denver coming off of a loss that was almost a win brought upon by so many field goal misses by the Titans, and we'll talk about that when we talk about that. I did not watch much of the Broncos game, so I don't know much about it, about this team. How's the matchup going to go?
The Steelers defense is too good, man. I can't pick again. Good. I can't pick against them. They're good. They're gonna whip up on them on the Steelers. Yeah, on the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm taking the Steelers as well. Easy pick.
Easy. All right, Packers coming off the monster win. Will be hosting Detroit this week. Detroit need to recover from just giving up in the end. Again, if Swift catches that touchdown, it's a different story. But man, the Lions, that is a heartbreaker to lose that. And what's going to happen in this one?
I think that the Packers are going to have a very nice day.
Okay.
It's like with how good they played against the Vikings in Viking territory. Aaron Rodgers has a fire lit under his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing is going to stop him until they go undefeated. So,
yeah, no, I think that we underrated the fact that Aaron Rodgers is back.
Aaron's fucking pissed.
Aaron's pissed and he's back. I'm gonna go. I'm with you. Packers. It is. Yeah, I like it.
Yep. All right. Jacksonville taking on Tennessee. Who would have thought that these would be the two teams with a winning record from this division? Well, one of them maybe not so much. Jacksonville coming off of an upset win against the Colts. Tennessee coming off of a very close win against the Broncos. Both of these teams have some interesting things to prove. Can Tennessee be the dominant team that they were last year? Will Jacksonville continue their upset streak?
I would like to think, like, a part of me was like, okay, yeah, sure, Minshew Mania is back. I felt like the Titans offense picked up where it left off. It wasn't all pretty on either side of the ball for the Titans, but I think that this team is still a pretty decent team outside of their Gostkowski. So I don't know. I think the Titans are gonna win it. I feel good about it.
I think so too. If anything happens with this Jaguars team this year, it's going to be the 2017 season where they won 1 week 1, lost week 2, 1 week 3, lost week 4, etc.
Yeah.
So that means that they'll lose this week, and that's the logic that I'm going with until I'm proven wrong.
All right, carry it over. I got it.
Because the Jaguars are always the hardest team for us to predict. So
they are. They really are. All right.
And the Titans too. Honestly.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember the Titans were. I think was it last year that they were hard to pick? Something happened
last year. Once Tannehill took over, they were fine. Like we had a grasp on them. 2 and 3 years ago, fuck whatever science that we had.
Yeah, no. All right, Minnesota Vikings, Indianapolis Colts, two teams that went into week 1 with high expectations and laid an egg in a big spot. But will either one of them? Well, I mean, someone's got to do well in this game. Who's it gonna be?
Or they could tie, but that's probably not going to happen. The Colts coming back, or letting a comeback happen rather, was unfortunate. The Vikings, I think, were just victim to Aaron Rodgers, the wrath of Aaron. And I think the Vikings are still overall the better team. Rivers still might need a bit to get accustomed to this new team, so I'm going to go with the Vikings in this matchup.
Yeah,
it's hard,
it's hard, and I look at this Vikings secondary. It's bad. It's not. I know it's Rodgers. I know it was Rodgers last week. The secondary is much worse than what we thought. It was really atrocious last week watching that team play. I gotta go with the Colts. I still really love the running game on this franchise, and I think that a second week with the defense together for the Colts, I think we'll pull through.
Honestly, that would if the Colts winning would make me feel better, because it means that the Vikings were just that bad, that maybe the Packers aren't as good as we think. So
right,
that would be the moral victory, but I think the Vikings are going to win this game.
All right, fair enough.
Next up, Los Angeles Rams, coming off their victory in Sunday Night Football, go and face the Philadelphia Eagles, who just, that didn't feel good for anyone. Who do you think is going to win this one?
I think the Rams are monsters, and this Eagles team that everyone wants to still pick to win the division, it's ending this week. My guarantee is the Los Angeles Rams.
I love it. The Eagles are too injured to do anything, and like we seasons past, I at least have ragged on Washington for just letting all of their players get injured, but now it's happening in Philadelphia, and the difference is that Philadelphia has talent.
Yep.
So it's really rough for this team, and the Rams are gonna win handily.
All right. Sounds good. The 49ers, coming off of a loss, now have to go across the country to take on the Jets. The 49ers are they're coming off a rough loss to a Cardinals team that's beginning to look like a potential wild card team. The Jets are the Jets. What do you have?
After the Jaguars won their last game, they took the worst team in football hat and looked at the Jets and said, "Hey, you dropped this." What is this team trying to do? It's nothing. They're wasting Darnold's talent if he even had any, and the 49ers will be able to bounce back. I'm worried long term about their receiving core.
Yep.
And Richard Sherman just got put on IR, so...
Yeah, secondary's beat up.
But there's no way in hell that this Jets team is going to do anything to them.
Oh, God, you're right, but I also... That's always such a scary thing to say. There's no way in hell it's going to happen.
There's no way in hell it's going to happen, Chris. I'm sorry.
and then the Jets win.
All right, if it happens, then it happens, but it's not going to happen.
No, it's not. I am so scarred by this NFL that there's no way I can sit here and say in any circumstance if there's a team of 3 to 5 year olds versus the Kansas City Chiefs that I think on a random fucking Sunday those babies are gonna go to town on the Kansas City Chiefs. It is that kind of fucking league that we're in. I'm gonna go with 49ers though. I'm just as confident as you that they're gonna win, but that's all I'm saying.
If we had a function in our podcast called a super lock, this is who I would super lock.
This is the super lock.
Yeah,
that takes out you can't lock an easy one.
Right. Yeah.
Circumstance. I get it. I get what you're talking about.
Yep. All right. Next up, Carolina Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Carolina Panthers almost winning their game, despite also being considered one of the teams at the bottom of the league. Take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Brady-led Buccaneers, who did not show up against the Saints as much as everyone thought they did, and validating, making half of the world upset and validating the other half in their feelings on how good this team would be.
Yeah. I look at Tampa right now, and I do think that there is an adjustment period. I do think their defense looked good. at times. I thought. I mean, I know the score looks ridiculous, but the part of that was the pick six was a factor, and I thought that the rushing defense kind of did play a factor on things. I think you have to see what the next few weeks are gonna look like if this offense is gonna ever adjust. I'm gonna go Tampa just for the sake of that. It's gonna be hard for me to see Tom Brady lose two weeks in a row. And I think the Panthers are an easier team to deal with than the Saints.
I agree with that. I also have Tampa, although I was pleasantly surprised by Carolina's offense last week.
Yeah, no, and that was even without McCaffrey playing a huge role.
Yeah, and he still produced for fantasy, which is all that I can ask for.
Right, exactly. Tampa is. Next up, the Washington football team, coming off of the big win out of nowhere. Them and their defensive line, led by Chase Young, now go to the desert to face the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray, who him and DeAndre Hopkins had quite the freaking connection early on.
Oh, yes, they did.
It's already building. The chemistry's building. What do you think's going to happen in this one?
So, I was high on the Cardinals last week. I think I said Cliff Kingsbury as coach of the year. And I think that is going to continue in this. Washington had a nice upset, but it was thanks to an injury-riddled Eagles team.
Yeah.
I am locking the Cardinals this week.
Yeah, let's go. I like it.
Because the resurgence of this team, like a phoenix, since they play in Phoenix Stadium, or did at some point, or University of Phoenix.
It was at some point. I don't know if it's no longer. I think it's State Farm Arena now.
That's right. Because State Farm has to own every arena.
Yeah.
State Farm and Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I love the Cardinals this year. They're going to throw circles around this team.
All right. I'm going Cardinals as well. I do praise the Washington pass rush. I think it's going to probably be a problem for Arizona. But then you look at the rest of Washington, and your confidence goes up a bit for if you're the other team. So there you go.
Next up, Kansas City Chiefs, coming off of their Week 1 win that was not close, faced the Los Angeles Chargers, who, coming off their Week 1 win that was almost not a win. Who's gonna win?
I can't pick against this Kansas City team.
You can't.
It's hard. They came out again and kicked butt. I mean, it wasn't the most offensively amazing game, but it was enough, and it was enough fun plays and enough of a comeback again from 7-0 down to just really continue to solidify, like, hey, if you're gonna have to beat us, you're gonna have to beat us in a big way. And I just don't think Tyrod Taylor has it in him. So
no,
Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City, every day of the week.
Yeah. Baltimore Ravens go to Houston to take on the Texans. Speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs game, the Texans were quite beat up in that game. Their defense, which seemed to cause some problems early for Kansas City, that went by the wayside real quick. Things just became a big problem. Now they have to face the Baltimore Ravens defense, which allowed its opponent to score 6 points in the first quarter and then nothing else. Now, granted, that was the Browns. This is the Texans led by Deshaun Watson. Could be closer for them. What do you think is going to happen?
I feel so bad for the Texans. I'm looking ahead at their schedule. They face the Steelers next week. They face the Vikings after that. That might be okay for them. But it sucks for them because the Ravens are going to demolish them.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because you look at these three AFC teams with Mahomes, Jackson, and Watson, and it's like these are the AFC giants that are going to control the division for so long. But the Texans as a team just don't have the depth to compete with the big boys right now.
Right.
Watson has the talent, but the rest of the team does not. So Ravens.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with you. It's the Ravens. There's no way that I mean. I think that the Texans could surprise us and could end up, adjusting, and maybe like their defense ends up playing like they did in the first quarter in the kickoff game, and play that throughout the whole game and shut down the Ravens altogether. But the thing is, the Ravens, their running game was kind of shut down by the Browns last week, and they still produce in the passing game in incredible ways. And so it's so hard to see this Texans team winning right now. So yeah. I'm going to go Ravens as well.
I am very upset because I just looked to see if I would get that game, and no, I'm getting Kansas City and LA, and so are you. Over Baltimore, Houston.
That's all right. I got red zone.
You got red zone. Whatever.
I'll deal with it that way.
We've been waiting all day for Sunday night. It is the New England Patriots versus Seattle Seahawks. They've been drooling over this matchup on the NBC broadcasts because it's a Super Bowl rematch, among other things. But no Tom Brady this time. Instead, Cam Newton against Russell Wilson. How's this matchup going to play out?
We didn't get a chance to talk about them, but the Patriots were fun last week.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching them, which is the first time in a while that I could say that I enjoyed watching a Patriots team. I think this is gonna be a fun game. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I do right now. The factor of this game is gonna be Jamal Adams. Dude played it kick-ass last week. I think he's gonna play kick-ass this week. And as great as a schemer Josh McDaniels could be on offense, I think the Seahawks defense gets to them, and that Russell Wilson offense flies against a maybe not so amazing Patriots defense.
Yeah, I think Seattle's gonna love this game. And the Jamal Adams is gonna shut down their slim pickings of a receiving core.
Yep, absolutely. And last but not least, the New Orleans Saints are going to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. Two undefeated teams. First week looked pretty good for them. The Saints took care of the Buccaneers pretty handily. Was still messy, but overall they got through it. Raiders took care of business against the Panthers. That was a good back and forth battle. What do you think's happening in this game?
It's unfortunate that this is the matchup for the Raiders to open their new stadium in Las Vegas, because the Saints are, even without Michael Thomas, I think are still going to do this pretty well. You obviously would say that the Saints are a better team than the Panthers, and the Raiders almost lost to the Panthers. The Saints are gonna do real good.
Yep. I look at this game, and I feel like the Saints last year, week 2, that was when they lost Drew Brees to injury. But even before Drew Brees went down, they had faced a Rams team that completely took them down and just completely dismantled them in many ways. And I don't look at this Raiders team as this big old juggernaut, but I do think that the Raiders have a good amount of talent on both sides of the ball that could really make things interesting. And I don't think that a lot of people are seeing that, Josh Jacobs is continuing to be like amazing.
Josh Jacobs is incredible.
And I think him, along with the wide receiver core for the Raiders, I think that they're going to surprise the Saints defense a little bit. And I don't trust Drew Brees. I don't trust Drew Brees anymore right now. He did not play well last week. And I think that losing Michael Thomas was not a huge impact in last week's game. Part of the reason was that he got injured. I worry about the Saints a little bit in this game. I'm going Team Chaos Raiders.
The second you started talking, an alarm went off in my head that you hadn't used your Team Chaos yet.
Hey, the Team Chaoses were it was hard to look at one this week that I felt good about.
Same.
I and this one, I know that people are like, holy shit, are the Saints your Super Bowl champion? Yes, they are. I picked the Saints to win the Super Bowls. But I also am considering how strange September is and how it has started with the Jaguars and the Washington winning their games and some of the big teams that we were expecting them to do well losing their games. I say why not for the Raiders? Why not? Why couldn't
do you know what Raiders fans are going to say to Saints fans after the fact if they win this game? There's a song.
What's that?
Do you remember the 21st night of September? Because it's on the 21st night of September.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. This has been a great ride. I think that we're probably gonna stop doing these for the time being. Kind of let me catch up in the pick competition a bit. No, I recognize that the good joke. You're good. It was a good joke. I recognize that this is a look. I said I wanted to be bold, and I'm like, you know what? This is who knows what kind of crazy shit's gonna happen. Let's just go Raiders. See what happens.
Yeah. No,
I got nothing more to lose but more of my ground on this pick competition. So who cares? It's all good. Anyways, so like we said, we'll be back next week for yes, we will return, don't worry. We'll return next week for more picks. We're gonna highlight the stream that's gonna happen this Saturday. Remember to follow us at Team Chaos Pod on Twitter, or also follow us on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Team Chaos Productions, to find out when we go live. We are very excited about that. We're going to do the highlights of that. If you do end up missing it, you can go back and watch on the VOD. We'll also upload it on our YouTube channel, but you can listen to the highlights of it in next week's podcast. And yeah, it's looking good. Good. Any final thoughts? Anything specifically that you're looking forward to right now?
Just continuing football and see if I can win Dynasty 2 years in a row.
Yeah, you have 2 leagues, right?
Yeah, so I'm doing my Dynasty League, which I do every year, and then I'm doing the Fantasy Footballers Megala Bowl, which is more of a tournament type thing, especially after X number of weeks. And I won my first matchup, but my team is not, especially running back wise, is not super solid going forward. So
yeah,
we'll see how that plays out in the end.
What's your records right now, though? Did you win both week?
Yeah, I'm 1-0 in both, and second place in the league thanks to point total.
Nice. All right. So hang in there, bud.
Will I become the 2-time Finders Keepers Dynasty League World Champion? Let's see.
You gotta. I hope you do. You're gonna.
I actually
ass.
have running back 2s this year, so
there you go. Yeah, now you're like a championship team that like just added Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Except I added David Montgomery and Zach Moss.
Not as great as Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but you know what? We'll just call it the equivalent in the fantasy world right now.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Good night and good ball. Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.